Imagine being dragged from your home, chained to strangers, and forced onto a ship where the air itself becomes poison. A journey so horrific only one name could describe it: the Middle Passage, a floating graveyard, a human nightmare, a crime written in waves and blood. Today, we uncover the true horror of the Atlantic crossing that millions of Africans were forced to endure. The Middle Passage was the central stage of the transatlantic slave trade. Between 12 and 15 million Africans were shipped across the Atlantic, but what happened inside those ships is rarely told honestly. Let's step inside the darkest voyage in human history. Before the ships came the raids. Africans were kidnapped by European traders and collaborating militias, often torn from villages at night. Those who survived the violent captures were forced to march hundreds of miles to the coast. Many died before ever seeing the ocean. Those who made it were locked in coastal forts, dungeons, waiting for the ships to arrive. The slave ships were not built for people, but for cargo. Inside, Africans were chained wrist to wrist, ankle to ankle, packed so tightly that they could barely move. Men were forced on their backs, while women and children were squeezed into smaller decks where, honestly, the heat became unbearable. It was hell. No ventilation, no sanitation, no standing room. There was just no comfort, no freedom, and honestly, no hope. Diseases spread instantly. Dysentery, smallpox, fever. These were like soldiers of death in the dark. Bodies were chained to the living. The stench, well, it could be smelled from miles away. You know, some ships actually lost about a third of their captives before even reaching the ocean. Captains, well, they used whips, torture, and fear to control the enslaved. Anyone who resisted was beaten, burned, or sometimes even thrown overboard. But Africans did not simply submit. There were uprisings, actually more than 500 documented rebellions at sea. Some almost succeeded, while others sadly led to brutal massacres. And for many, the only escape was tragic: jumping into the ocean, choosing death over a life of chains. Those who survived the 6 to 12-week voyage were brought ashore half dead. Weak, diseased, traumatized, they were washed, oiled, and forced onto auction blocks, sold like animals to the highest bidder. The Middle Passage did not end at the ocean. It followed them through generations. The Middle Passage is not just history. It is a reminder of what hatred and greed can create when humanity is lost. To remember this journey is to honor those who never made it across, and those who survived to build new lives against impossible odds. Their story must never be forgotten.